Are you coming to Saskatchewan? Then the next couple of videos I'll be uploading in the next couple of weeks will be very, very important for you. So if you're coming as a student or a new immigrant, you should definitely watch these videos because it's going to discuss about what you should do as soon as you land in Canada or in Saskatchewan to be specific, what you should expect as a student, things that students should do, and also some details about SAS Polytech, about Saskatchewan, about cities in Saskatchewan. So a lot of details coming your way. So I had this very interesting discussion with some of the people in Moose Jaw. One Canadian citizen who's running student rentals in Moose Jaw. So we had an elaborate discussion, and that's the reason why it is split into 5 videos. So stay tuned. I'll be uploading this on Saturday morning Indian time or Friday evening Canadian time. So you will get notifications about this. So click the bell icon so that you get a notification once that video releases. So this is going to be part one of maybe 4 or 5. Stay tuned. Daryl, moving on. No, like the safety, like what use? I mean, see, I mean, these are some of the very popular questions I get. Like, how safe is Saskatchewan? More than that, we'll address that part. But I want to ask you, how safe are the accommodations here? Like, like especially when it's a shared space, there are lot of people from different communities living together. Many of them ask, like, is it safe to, live with them, or is Saskatchewan safe? Is Moose Jaw safe? All these questions come up. What is your thought on
Moose
that?
Jaw is very safe.
Safer than Regina.
Okay.
I mean, if you're walking at 3 a.m. in downtown, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
It's really safe. Like if you compare to Regina or Toronto, it's like, yeah, you can go out there, but
I think it's more in our mind. I keep telling that in my videos also. I've done a video exclusively on, how safe is Saskatchewan because that was one of the very popular questions in my, the comments. So I keep telling them, if you go to downtown or any area that is unsafe, like, especially at night, and then you get into trouble, like don't get into a conversation or argument with anybody,
Exactly,
like stay away from those kind of things. Even if you're traveling at night in the bus or you're at downtown, maximum what they would do is come and ask you some questions, just respond, or just don't respond,
no,
just
it's
don't.
very safe.
It's
It's very safe. Like traveling bus is shut down at 6
Moose
p.m.
Jaw,
there.
Oh,
6
it's
p.m.
terrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
So what would you say
So
about
all
that?
I could say, because I can only talk about my
Yeah,
buildings, but so for my buildings, all of them are, the main doors are self-locking. They're all by code.
Okay.
So the students have their own code. Bedroom, same thing. They have a mechanical key, but they also, all their rooms are self-locking with code into their bedrooms. And 15 years, 300 plus students, I've never had a problem. But it's just peace of mind. So, and I think most of the landlords that actually care about their students are that way. They'll put a lock on the door, not necessarily because it needs to have a lock, just for peace of mind. As far as sharing, I think I have never had an experience from my buildings or any other landlords where there was a problem between students. As far as safety, never.
Okay.
So,
And like Moose Jaw, I would say, is very small community. People are very friendly here. So it's always safe here. People will be smiling, waving, and saying good morning and good afternoon. All those things are there. So everything is like very safe here in this community. So it's not like when we go to Regina or Saskatoon. So
No, Regina is safe, huh? I come from there. I have to safeguard my place.
depends where.
Yeah, there are spots here and there. Like I have been in Regina since like 1.5 years. Till now, personally, I haven't faced. I keep asking my friends also because I get this question on my comments. I always ask my friends who works at Dollarama at 9 or 10 in the night. Especially towards the north of Regina, they keep saying that it's not safe. But there are instances now and then, but it's not that where you're like, harmed physically or anything. They just say a couple of, sentences and they walk out of the store.
Yeah.
Or, it's usually theft rather than any other
But I
kind
have heard, like, from my friends, I have heard, like, doing the skip the dishes at night and all those things, it's like quite scary for them. They have like fear of getting robbed all the time and their car and all those things. But yeah, it's not like Prince Albert for sure.
But Saskatchewan wholly is like, it's a nice place to live. If your car is not working in the middle of highway, someone will
yeah.
definitely stop.
And what I always tell, especially the Indians who ask me this, I was like, where are you coming from? Like, you're coming from a country where crimes are reported every other second. Like, like, don't come and crib here, because it's like one case out of million that, you might actually see a crime happening. But if you look around your house, like, there's so many things happening on a daily basis back in India. I keep asking them, like, you're coming from India, right? Like, why are you even asking this question?
You get used to it. Like, I'm from Delhi, and traffic there is like something.
Yeah.
Okay, but I would see, and now I'm used to this traffic. I would see 3 cars in front of me. I'd be bitching.
Yeah, we went to Manitoba, and then I was going on telling him, oh, it's so far, it's so far. It's actually just 15 minutes. I was like, it's so far, it's just so much. I don't know. I mean, I'm dreading going back to India at this point. Yeah, but
totally
then anyways,
I do. Yeah.
So, you all already talked about the frauds that happen with housing, right? Like, so you need to be careful about, if somebody.
But the other thing is too, don't shop by price.
Oh.
Because you can end up with, and it's happened here. Well, actually, I'll tell you a good example of a student that him and I did not get along, and that's pretty rare. But anyway, this guy was from India, and I was over working on our Grafton house on something, and he said, I'm going to look for a new place for New September. I said, I think that's a really good idea. So anyway, so he wandered off, and he came back about an hour later, and I said, so how'd it go? He said, well, it was closer to the school, but it's no good. I said, how come it was no good? He said it was a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, 13 guys living in it.
Oh, God.
He said when you open the front door, you just hop over mattresses. One guy was sleeping in the bathtub. One guy was sleeping on the kitchen counter. So, yeah, that's super rare here, but it does happen. But it was only $200. Yeah. There's some other places, they'll advertise that they've got a basement suite, fully furnished for a couple of $100, and they'll get there and it has no internet, it has no stove, it has no cooking facilities. It's just probably someplace where they stored vegetables 100 years ago, and that's going to be a room. I've run into an instance where it was just a sheet was the wall, and there were 2 guys in a bedroom, and their wall was just a bed, curtain between the 2 of them. So you don't want to shop price.
Yeah. Plus, there are regulations here, also safety regulations. Like, if you are living in a basement, there should be railings. And what was that fire person thing?
The window has to be large enough. For
fire exit,
a firefighter to get through with his tanks.
And there's a lot of more things, and I don't see much happening here. Like, even that place I was living in, where you picked me up from, that was not regulated. Like, windows were not big enough and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But the housing crisis is so tight right now that kind of doing what we can.
I mean, Sask Poly really should stop calling students right now and deal with the housing crisis first.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of students actually struggling because they got the admission, they've booked their flights, they're struggling to find accommodation. So I always wonder, that was one of my major questions, since you've been here for, why does not Sask Poly provide accommodation in the first place? Second thing, why don't they provide a regular bus service to Regina? Like,
I was in a meeting and I sent you my notes on that. And, I was talking to the mayor about that in this meeting, and he said, there's a couple ideas you can try, but it's just kind of what it is what it is. So we're trying. Sask Poly and the government have been talking about building a residence. In fact, I dug up an old article 10 years ago, before we had a lot of international students, we only had a few. where they were going to build a residence for international students to attract them. And it just died. So I actually sent it to the local newspaper, their own article, and said, hey, do a follow-up.
Yeah.
And their follow-up was absolutely pitiful. They said, Sask Poly has a website for student housing.
Yeah, I mean, I did go through that. I got
It has
It's
one,
funny.
and it had been rented for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then they said, if you can't find something, go to Regina, and the U of R will take you. Well, you do not want to, if you've never seen ice and snow before, and minus 30 with a 80-kilometer-an-hour wind, you don't want to be driving from Regina to Moose Jaw daily.
And that's just 30 minutes of drive. You don't want to do
Well,
that.
45
minutes.
45 for normal people.
Yeah, and that's during summer, that's 45. Winter, it's more than that. So I keep telling my subscribers also, whenever they ask me, because see, the thing in their mind is, okay, I'm coming to Moose Jaw, and they start cribbing about it, saying that it's such a small place, there's no jobs, there's no housing, and then we want to be in Regina, which is a bigger city. We have like the Indian community. That's one other thing I keep telling. Like, don't keep looking for your own community. Look, interact with other people. Yeah, you're coming to Canada again. You're looking for Indian community. Why do you do that? So they keep saying that. So I keep telling them, first of all, you're studying, you have assignments, quiz, all these kind of things. Then you have a part-time job that you need to attend to. How are you planning to go to Regina after your studies? Do a part-time job, do your assignments, get back to Moose. I mean, I really don't understand.
It's extremely difficult. I did a survey last year because I'm in connection with a lot of students. So I did a survey last spring of the students that were driving back and forth. And between November and March, they had lost between 14 and 17 school days due to weather, due to the roads being closed. And several of those days, they got to Moose Jaw, but they had to get hotels for the night because they couldn't get home back to Regina. So when you look at the cost and the danger,
the danger, I would say the driving during winter, like we have got stuck a couple of times when we were staying in Moose Jaw. We had to go pick up stuff in Regina. When we came back, it was a flurry. I couldn't even see 50 meters ahead of me, and it's scary. It's really scary.
But Sask Poly is good about it. Like, if there is
they'll give a warning,
they would cancel classes, or just they would schedule it for Zoom.
Zoom meeting. Yeah.
That is because a lot
A lot of people come from
Regina. It's not that they are
even instructors come from Regina.
but if that storm blows in at 10 o'clock in the morning,
that's bad.
that's different.
So we've talked about facilities to look for. Is there a rental contract that the student gets into?
And one of the things about the rental contracts is 99% of the landlords have them. Some of the ones that only have one room, maybe not. But and what students need to understand is it is a legally binding contract. Okay, so read it carefully. And one of the major things that landlords have troubles with here in Moose Jaw is, we'll rent it to you, but you can't bring in more people afterwards. Okay, because they all have to be on that particular piece of paper. And that's happened, not a lot, but it happens a lot. And then it puts a bad taste in the landlord's mouth. And then next thing you know, they don't want to rent to students. So that's something. The other thing is usually we don't use a lease, we use a rental agreement with the 30 days. I can fire the student can fire me 30 days. But a lot of them use leases because landlords, they like to think long term, So if you're coming for an 8-month class and you sign up for 8 months, you're on the hook for 8 months, So do your homework. Make sure that's where you want to be. Don't arrive here and go, I'm just going to stay here until I find something cheaper. It will not work for you in the long run. And it happens a lot. So that's something. And the other thing is, there are some landlords out there that will try to take advantage, so read your lease or your rental contract and make sure that's right for you. Because that's very important.
I get asked a lot of times that I need to see the place before I book it. you know, like I need to, how do I finalize on a place even without seeing it. So I always tell them, you know, you're getting into a contract with a landlord for a long term. Okay, so in case you are not sure, like in my case, you know, I would also prefer seeing it, or at least having a video call and seeing the place, right? I did that with the Saskatchewan accommodation. And so I always tell them, see, if you're so unsure about the place, take an Airbnb. Okay, stay there for a week. Okay, look out for places, and until you get one, stay in an Airbnb. You know, spend, like, you don't want to do that or this. You know, stay in a place, look out for a place. You come see the place, meet the landlord. It's also a relationship with the landlord. What if you don't like him? You know,
That's
so
true.
so because it becomes very difficult. You know, if you don't like the landlord, if you don't like the place, if the heating is not good, what if you don't like things, right? So that's one other option I would suggest. Like, if you get it, well and good. But if not, you know, this is one option that you can.
You are kind of right, but right now this like housing prices going
Yeah,
on. And
Airbnb
if
is
you
also
come like a week ago and 7 days of Airbnb is like 500, $600.
No, this is just a worst case scenario I give them. I mean, even for it's just not for students, even for like couples who come on PR or you know anybody.
But I feel like that's a good suggestion because
I did that.
Because you know, once you landed in a contract or like an agreement, there are chances you will not get your security deposit back.
There are a lot of things.
So it's not always like that. Even if your lease, like with the lease also, you can talk to your landlord. Maybe he's understanding, and you would find him a person. If he's alright with that, you can break a lease also somewhat.
If both parties agree, right?
You know,
I wouldn't suggest it, but breaking a lease, right? Yeah.
If it is like winter time, they are not able to find any other.
Okay.
Yeah, we should look from both the perspectives, right? So I always tell, like, it's a contract that two people are getting into. It's not that you go into the place, you don't like it, you leave within 1 month. That doesn't work, right? So either, you know, you be willing to, you know, be there in that place, you know, whatever happens, okay, I'm going to stay there for the next 8 months. Or else, you know, you can ask somebody, like I asked I think one of my friend to look out for that accommodation in most job.
Exactly, that's what I would suggest.
Yeah.
Because just about everybody knows somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and same with deposits. You know, when you're trying to do deposit in India, there's PayPal, or you know somebody in Canada that can do it. Basically, that's all there is, and it works really well. But one of the reasons I don't answer my phone in prime time, especially like in September, I'll get a young girl that just arrived from India or Korea or somewhere crying because she's in an Airbnb paying $100 a night and can't find any place to live because she didn't look months ahead, you know. So and it's very difficult on an old guy like me to listen to that. So I don't even answer my phone.
And like how we have like a student community, these guys also have a community. So they will also talk. Okay, don't give to that person. Don't give to this student.
So one thing you don't want to do is piss this guy.
So like if you are signing this agreement and lease and then you are moving in 1 month.
In Canada the thing is, you know, everything works as per reference, jobs, rentals, everything, right? So even when you're moving to another accommodation, they are going to check with your previous landlord, you know, how your stay was, you know, where you good with things. So it's not that, you know, how you shift houses in India, like, okay, break that and go. It's not that way. It doesn't work. I mean, I always prefer keeping a clean record, even with your landlord or you know, your employer or whosoever it is, because it's very important, right? I mean, you never know when it's going to pop up and, you know, create trouble for you. So it's always good to keep a clean slate.
You know, I have a question. In contracts, when there are like rules like no cooking after 9 p.m. No talking on the phone like 10 p.m. or something like that. Are those legally binding?
Sure it is.
Yeah.
It's part of your lease. Yeah.
So we have a restriction in our rental contract that after 11 there's no noise, and then there's no pets, and lot of restrictions, you know. So it's not that we don't want to conduct a party at home, right? But then we make sure that, you know, things wind up before 11, and even if there's a party going on, you know, it's like quiet time, you know, everybody just mellows down. So it's very important that, you know, there are no complaints. I mean, at least we follow that because we don't want to get into trouble, right? We're going to stay there. Once there's a friction, then it's always going to be you're under the radar, right? You always get noticed for things, so it's always better to stay away from such things.
Yeah, we do that to finish everything up by 11 p.m.
So what about references, Daryl? Like, is it like really important to have references for your accommodation, like in case you're looking for?
For me, no, because I do so many international. So, and for students, like, I mean, we're starting to get a lot of postgraduates now, which are older, but up until the last few years, most of our students are 18 to 22 years old. They have no references. They just got out of high school. So I've never had a problem with references, but I will tell you, every landlord, as soon as they get your real name,
Facebook.
They will go on Facebook and check your profile.
Locked
and
profile.
India's always locked.
Yeah.
Canada's hardly ever locked because we don't care.
Sometimes they would do credit checks.
Most of us are, pretty phony on our Facebook things. But anyway, that's the first thing they look for. And I am too. I had a guy apply for one of my buildings, and his Facebook profile was a handgun pointed at somebody. Nope. So, that's one of the first things they do. They'll Google your name. Because every landlord does that. Every company does that now. To find out if there's, what they know. But other than that, but once you're in Canada, like for you, for instance, you've been here a while, or Tasneem or Michelle, once you've been here and then you go to apply for something, they're going to ask for a reference. And they're going to call me. And I'm going to say, not Michelle. Don't do that. But that I get those a lot. Because really, for especially the younger ones, I'm their very first landlord. So once they move on and graduate and so on, I'm their only reference, and then it's important. But for the international students, how do we do it? It's impossible. So and I talk to a lot of landlords, and they ask me how I handle it. And just like I told you, Google them. Check out Facebook.
It's very important to keep your Facebook profile unlocked, mainly because you're looking out for an accommodation. You might be reaching them out through Facebook groups. So how would they check what you're up to? Your profile. They have to do a reference, and this is one way. Like, that's one thing Daryl told me. Like, a locked Facebook profile is a no, complete no. So
just maintain your Facebook profile also.
That's true. But here in Canada, when we see a locked Facebook profile, we go, where do they hide? So, and that could be wrong. I don't know, but that's just how we see it.
I mean, especially I think, it's gender biased, but women, back in India, they would rather not put a profile picture, and those kind of things, So it's more of the cultural thing. But guys, if you're coming to Canada, and you're looking for accommodation, this is one tip. If you're reaching out, at least show them that you're trustworthy, and this is one way of checking. And one thing I always get asked is, what are the mediums that I can check out for accommodation? Like, one is Facebook groups. What others would you suggest, right?
Well, there's Facebook, Kijiji here, Musha. There's Discover Musha has a Musha buy and sell or something. I have a whole list of them. There's a lot. Facebook is pretty much taken over. Facebook Marketplace for me, Student Rentals Musha is one that I started about 4 or 5 years ago. And the reason I started it is because even before COVID, I would have 30, 40 applications for my rooms. So I got a hold of the Landlords of Musha, which is another group. And I said, I'm going to open a Facebook page for students. So if you're a student-friendly landlord, please put your product on here, and then students, then my overages, I can send them to this Facebook page and so on. It's turned out very successful. It's 4,500 students and landlords on there right now. So it's kind of like the one for Musha now, which kind of surprised me. But, and of course, Saskatchewan has their own site for housing. It's not very good.
We wouldn't suggest it,
I wouldn't suggest it, no. I actually mentioned that in a meeting with Saskatchewan last spring. Nothing happened.
And here's the thing. People want to help Saskatchewan in dealing with this, but
I know.
They don't want to have the help. They don't want to do it on their own.
So Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, are probably the two biggest. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and
Even
on-
Facebook groups, I guess, right? I see a lot of messages on community groups like, you know, Radhana Desis and, you know,
Yes,
like,
yes.
or, you
Sas
know, yeah,
Desis.
Sas Desis. There's so many,
Yeah.
so many subdivisions of groups for each community. I've seen like communities for Sri Lankans, you know, Asians, the other part of Asia,
Nigerians,
Nigerians.
Yeah.
So all these groups are very active, especially when, you know, there's something ongoing like programs and all those things.
Mhm.
So you can even put a message there saying that, you know, I actually got my accommodation in Saskatoon when I put on the Saskatoon Indian page.
Yeah.
So one person contacted me and it clicked for me. So you never know, but I would highly suggest Marketplace and Kijiji.
But there's a
Kijiji,
lot
I
of
found
scams.
Kijiji actually I found a lot of scam and
Yeah,
that.
there is. Yeah. And there's nobody
Yeah.
fixing it.
Yeah.
Also, there's a SAS Poly site every year, like this one. It's called SAS Poly 23.
Okay.
You'll see quite a few on there too.
Yeah. You mean a Facebook page,
Yeah,
right?
Facebook page,
Yeah.
It's a SAS Poly of
Mhm.
like next year will be SAS Poly 24,
Mhm.
but there's quite a few. I have a room or I need a room or so on. Those ones are good too.
Mhm.
Oh, the other thing that we didn't cover so far
Mhm.
is Regina to Moose Jaw transportation.
Transportation, yeah.
Now, there is no public transportation
Yeah.
between Regina and Moose Jaw.
What
And
is
Uber is something like $140.
yeah,
Yeah.
Uber and taxi are between 120 and 140. There's no bus service anymore, from what I can
I think we were
understand.
planning to take it up in the next session where you know, we
okay.
talk about landing and then
Yeah. Cut this.
Oh, that's your part.
yeah, he did mention the rent part. Okay, the rental. I mean, what is the rent that you need to?
Oh, and then we
Yeah,
went
yeah.
a different direction.
Yeah.
So you mean rental costs?
Yeah.
Okay, so like you say, on a basement suite, like a 1-bedroom basement suite, relatively close to the school, ranges anywhere between $700, $900, $1,200. If it's really nice, you could be paying up to $16.
Mm-hmm.
Main floor house, you're probably paying 12 to 13.
Mm-hmm.
Plus
So they still
utilities.
have how many bedrooms? Like 2 bedrooms?
That would probably have 3
3 bedrooms
on a main floor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The farther you get away from the school, the less
Mm-hmm.
it costs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the room rentals, a small room now in like today's market, you're looking probably $550 to $600.
Mm-hmm.
Premium room, like a good sized room
with utilities,
with
and
everything
furnished.
included, you're looking at $700 now.
Okay.
And that's changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
The expenses have gone insane the last
Mhm.
couple of years. The shared rooms, you're looking probably about $400
Mm-hmm.
for a shared room
Okay.
nowadays. And that would probably get you a pretty good room
Mhm.
for $400. There are some over in there's a building over here that's actually they call it Little India.
Okay.
And
What
there's
is the
quite-
name?
It's
Laurier.
Laurier.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. Okay.
There's quite a few in there that are
Mhm.
sharing rooms at $200,
Mhm.
and there'd be like 6 in a 2-bedroom
Mhm.
apartment.
I've heard this name quite often the last 1 year, I
Yes.
guess. You know, a lot of people referring to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't heard about it when I was here. I think it's
No.
relatively new.
No.
No. No. It's I don't want to say anything bad about it.
One is L'Oreal, one is Wood Lily.
Yeah,
Wood Lily
Woodlily is
is
a
also-
community, right? Like
Yeah.
there are a lot of houses.
Well,
I guess.
Woodlily
Yeah.
is an area, and
Okay,
it's got a lot of apartments,
Mhm.
and they're pretty nice.
Yeah, they're more close to the superstore and Walmart
Yes.
that area,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of my classmates. Huh? Yeah, near Thatcher Drive,
Yeah,
towards
just off
that side.
Thatcher, yeah.
So a lot of my classmates used to stay there. So
Mhm.
this is one option where you take an apartment, and there's also another option where students come together, they meet each other, they take a house, and then they share. Okay, so I know a lot of students who do that also. So it depends on your convenience, like what you want to do, whether you want to like go for an exclusive apartment, I mean a student accommodation like Daryl has, or you can go into a basement. If you're coming as a family, like there are a lot of students who come with their husband and kids, so you can take an apartment or a basement. So or else you can, come here, make friends. And I know a lot of people who move into a house, they're like he mentioned, there's like 9-10 people living in a house. So it's all your preferences, but yeah, approximately this is the range, right?
Yeah.
Accommodation.
Yeah. I have to say though, the most successful international students I've ever seen, of course they stick with their own, but not exclusively, because it's all about networking. But the really successful ones I've seen have networked with, if they're from India, they networked with
all of them.
And they seem to be like the most successful. The ones that don't go beyond their group seem to be the more disappointed.
I can't stress enough on this point because I don't know, like it's just a comfort I think that Indian students get when you are in your Indian community group. It's good. It's good to have the community here also.
Definitely.
But it's very, very important that you go outside. You've come to Canada so that you enrich yourself and you grow and you meet other people. But if you pull yourself back and saying, I'm only going to talk to my Malayali friends, I'm only going to talk to my North Indian friends, that is also a split. Like actually, once you come here, the split is more, I guess, right? I'll only talk to these people, that people.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't make sense. There are Nigerians, there are Canadians, there are other people from other part of Asia. From all over the world, so you get like a platter of people, but if you're only going to eat your Indian food, yeah, good for you, but I wouldn't suggest that.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you're not moving, like, all the postgraduates, if you see here, are all Indians.
Yeah, Indians, yeah.
So in the class also you are talking with Indians and you are, like, the professors are almost, like, most of them are from Asia.
Yeah.
So where will you get exposure? If you are not moving out and you're not having friends in your jobs or wherever you're working part-time, make friends with other people. Try to understand the Canadian culture if you have moved here. So that's what it is important, especially for the postgraduate students. I feel like Sask Poly needs to, provide
Diversify
more.
Yeah, I think the main reason, see, if you look at from the money-making perspective, obviously, the wealth lies where, obviously you're going to concentrate on places where they are going to make more money, right? There are a lot of people desperate in India who wants to move to Canada.
Exactly.
And Sask Poly has realized that. I mean, I'm talking out on YouTube, I don't mind, but I feel that, since people are desperate to move, the student option has come up. Like even I came through that mode where I'm planning for PR, right? So when that opened up, they realized where, they can make the maximum amount of money. Obviously, international students are paying much more. So that's a business perspective, but when we come to Canada, we are expecting a lot of different nationalities sitting in a class. But in my class, it was just like 2 Nigerians and 1 Mexican, and all the others were Indians. So at times you wonder, like I should have studied back in India, and then
what's the
what's the difference?
There are other options apart from the class to network. Like there are bowling clubs in Sask Poly. There's volleyball, there's badminton, and there's a specific day for that. And just go there, talk to people, play with them. Yeah.
And also see, I'm not going to actually split the video in such a way that it's separately. I'll split it as and when. Okay, so I'm going to just continue the conversation as long as the mic is working. So one thing I wanted to say is that all these clubs are there, or community services are there, but the issue here is the students who come here, they have a lot of burden in hand, right? I feel that they have to study, then they have to work, they have to pay their rent, everything. Like as long as you're funded by your parents, which is not the case of most of the students who come here. You have like loans to pay back at home. Most of them who come for post-graduation, they have a family who wants to join them. So many responsibilities running in your mind that, all these socializing doesn't work, right? So
you have to make time. If you want to be successful, if you want to network, we have seen students who did everything. Everything.
So there's a flair to it, right? Some people have a flair of networking, they want to do it. But some, they're like, okay, let me concentrate on what I came here for. PR is my objective. Let me bring my family. Let me do my work. Let me make money. So it's like 2 routes, right? So you can choose which you want to fall into. On that note, I'm going to take a break now and continue with the next video. Thank you, Daryl, for all the insights. You will be contributing in the next video also, but then let's just see how it goes.